It started like any normal evening in our home. My wife, Amaka, was in the kitchen, humming softly as she stirred a pot of soup. The smell of spices filled the air, warm and comforting. I sat in the living room, scrolling through my phone, half listening to the sound of her slippers against the tiled floor. "Food will be ready soon," she called. "Take your time," I replied. Everything felt normal, peaceful, until the keys fell. She had just walked past me when I heard a small metallic clink hit the floor. Amaka froze. For a second, just 1 second, her shoulders tightened like someone caught doing something wrong. "I'll get it," I said, bending down, but she rushed back quickly. No, I've got it." Too quickly. That was the first time I noticed the keys. A small bunch tied with a faded red thread. Old-looking. Not like our house keys. Not like any keys I had ever seen her use. "What keys are those?" I asked casually. She forced a smile. "Just old keys. Nothing important." She slipped them into a wrapper and walked back to the kitchen like nothing happened. But something had already changed. The next day, I couldn't stop thinking about it. We only had one door. One gate, one room door, and I had copies of all the keys. So what were those for? I told myself I was overthinking, until I saw her again. That night, after dinner, she thought I had fallen asleep, but I wasn't. I watched quietly as she tiptoed to the wardrobe, opened the bottom drawer, and brought out the keys. My heart started beating faster. She looked around, careful, then slipped them into her bag. Where was she going? I almost called her name, but something stopped me. The next morning, she left early. "I'm going to the market," she said. I nodded, pretending everything was fine, but this time, I followed her. Not closely, just enough to keep her in sight. She didn't go to the market. She walked past it, then further, into a quieter part of the neighborhood I had never visited before. My chest tightened. What was she hiding from me? She stopped in front of a small, modest building. Not fancy, just simple. Painted in dull cream, with a slightly rusted gate. She looked around again, then brought out the keys. My heart dropped. She opened the gate. I waited a few minutes before walking closer. My mind was racing. Was she keeping secrets? Another life? Another family? I reached the gate slowly. It was slightly open. I pushed it gently and stepped inside. Voices, laughter, children. I froze. Children? I moved closer to the door and peeked inside. What I saw made no sense at first. Amaka was there, smiling, surrounded by about 6 children. She was serving them food, laughing with them. One of the kids ran to her and hugged her tightly. "Auntie Amaka, you came." My confusion turned into something else, something softer. I stepped inside. She turned, and her face changed instantly. "Chinedu." Silence filled the room. The children looked between us. "You followed me?" she asked quietly. I nodded. My voice came out low. "What is this place?" She hesitated, then sighed. "It's a small home," she said, "for children who don't have anyone." I looked around again. The worn chairs, the patched walls, the smiling faces. "You come here?" I asked. She nodded slowly. "Twice a week, sometimes more. Why didn't you tell me?" Her eyes dropped. "I wanted to, but I didn't know how." I frowned. "What do you mean?" She swallowed. "You've been worried about money, about responsibilities. I didn't want you to think I was adding more burden." I stood there, silent. She continued, her voice softer now. "I use my savings. I cook for them. I just wanted to help." One of the little girls tugged my shirt. "Uncle, are you angry?" I looked down at her. Her eyes were hopeful, innocent. I exhaled slowly. "No," I said. "I'm not angry." I looked back at my wife. "You should have told me." Tears filled her eyes. "I'm sorry." I shook my head gently. No, I'm sorry. She blinked. What? I stepped closer. For thinking the worst. The tension in her face melted. And for the first time since this started, I smiled. That day I stayed. I helped serve food. I played with the kids. I listened to their stories. And when it was time to leave, one thing became clear. Those keys didn't open a secret. They opened something good. Something I should have been part of all along. That night, as we lay in bed, I turned to her. Next time, I said, we go together. She smiled. Together. If this story touched you, comment keys below. And get ready, because the next story will make you question everything you trust.